Hey folks, my name is Kevin and it's time for a little bit more knife nerdery, and today we have an unboxing of a lot of knives, and this box was sent to me by Marco, aka Knives of the Round Table. I think there are 5 knives in here. 2 are ones that he's returning to me. I sent him my TRM Atom and my TRM Shadow to check out, and he is sending me one knife that I know it's going to be a Peña Raptor from the X series, and 2 knives that he intentionally left as a mystery, so it's going to be really interesting to see if I even know what those knives are, because I've looked through his channel. Marco has a pretty amazing collection actually, and he definitely has some knives that I don't know anything about, so this will be fun to see. Let's get in here. This is very well taped. I'm using my Neutron to open this up since my Atom and whatnot is inside. Okay, so that's that. That's the one that I know. This is, I think, my knives coming back to me. This is from Custom Knife Factory. And this is a freaking Shiro. Okay, so these 2 knives, just from what these boxes are going to be holy crap knives. Wow, okay, so you're up in the ante some, Marco. I sent you some TRMs and you sent me some insane nonsense. Let's just check real quick what is in here. Yeah, there we go. So this is, look at that, my baby is home. This is my Atom and my Shadow back. I hope you liked these. I hope you enjoyed playing with them. I'm gonna put those away for just a second. Okay, now let's take a look at this. So this is going to be the Raptor, and I have wanted to check out this Peña knife for so freaking long because it does something fundamentally different from other Peña knives in a couple different ways. He has obviously kept all of this goodery. If you have ever opened up one of these, they've got the logo inside the logo, and then inside of that they give you a thing with the logo, so they really like logos. Get some of that out of the way. There we are. Yeah. Okay, so this is the Peña X Series Raptor. And right off the bat, ooh, it's stiff, isn't it? Oh, okay, so I have a Apache here, and I have a Zulu here. And there's right off the bat something that this is doing that these 2 aren't, and that it makes me want to check this out, and that is this freaking hollow grind. One of my only real gripes with these knives is that they've got 0.12 blade stock and yet a very short grind. And what that means is, since the blade itself is small and the grind itself is small, is that these are not the most aggressive grinds. They are still very good slicing, cutting, everyday tasks, but they're just not going to be that like dream slicer that you might get. And some, like these 2, have swedges on top, and that swedge is going to thin out that blade stock some and get that to be a little bit thinner out here than it would be back there, because anytime that you drop below this grind line, you're going to be thinning out the blade. But over here, we've got that swedge thinning out the blade, and this what feels like a very, oh yeah, look at that beautiful aggressive hollow grind. And so the first thing that this is doing that's different from either of these is just, I think, going to be slicier. The second thing that this is doing from either of these is the angle of the blade. This is something that you'll find on some sway backy knives, on some, I don't know. The Raptor name is obviously leaning into the kind of hawkbill feel, and this isn't a hawkbill knife because it's not actually curving down. This is still straight, but you can see that it's angled down. And what that means is that this is going to be even easier to use for utility cuts and kind of on a box opening type test that I do all the time, because that angled down edge here means that the tip is naturally lower down. And so it like on a knife like this, especially on a knife like this, where the blade comes straight out and then the tip comes up, I have to tilt my hand down in order to get this tip at it. And it have to go even further in order to get that tip in a puncturing way. And this is already in a puncturing position without me having to tilt my hand at all because the blade is already tilted down. And that's such a thin tip there. Okay, I kind of really, really love that. Wow. So then the third thing that this knife is doing different from the other two is this handle. This handle is a swayback handle. And the point of swayback handles, when the way they were designed originally, they look like upside down handles. If you compare these two, like these look about the same right now, but one of them is upside down. And the reason for that is because swaybacks really are intended to be held upside down. They're intended for either paring knife type tasks or to be held in this kind of grip with your thumb around the end and for kind of like pulling back the way they were originally farming knives. And so that kind of handle is designed to literally be upside down, but the way that Peña does it, and the way that a lot do it, is where it's not super duper aggressive. This is a relatively gradual way, which makes it feel really nice like this, but it doesn't make it feel weird like this. I still, for example, make contact on the handle right back here. And on some swaybacks, on my hands at least, there's a gap because of the way that this curves up so much. And so with this, I'm still feeling like this is really secure in my hand, but it's really nice to place my hand on. I'm going to be honest. Stylistically, this isn't my favorite. Stylistically, the Apache has always been my favorite Peña. Functionally, in terms of shape, this is my favorite Peña shape already. I know that for the type of cutting that I do, this is going to be my favorite in terms of sliciness, in terms of ease of access, all that kind of stuff. Wow. I am so glad I get to play that. Oh, wait, crap. I already forgot. There's one really, really important fourth thing that this is doing different from literally every other of these modern traditional Peñas that they do. They all, as far as I understand, everyone I've ever seen have this style of top, which is a gentle wraparound that curves with the handle. And what that means is that you don't get to use leverage whatsoever to open these. These are the kind that you put your finger on like this, you push the meat of your finger into these little sharp jimps, and then you pull. You're not pushing, you're pulling the knife over. And so it works really, really well, specifically because they have these crisp, clean jimping lines, but it means that it's entirely a traction-based system. And so over time, you'll see there's literally like little tiny amounts of my skin building up in here because it's entirely relying on the gripping and pulling along my finger. This is the only one that has a different tab. And I don't know if he did this just to kind of like mirror the angularity of this, but it has that side effect that if you look at the way this works, for the first time ever, you have a tab that you can actually push on. You can push on this in a sideways position. So rather than feeling like you're pulling it over, you are actually able to push down. And so you can apply leverage against this and actually have a lever arm distance here. And as a result, yeah, this really just is really, really nice and easy to open. I don't find these hard to open, but there's always that feeling that you are kind of just relying on grip and they kind of pull on my finger just enough. And this doesn't. Like, I feel that grip still, but that just, oh, I love it. I love it. I'm going into too much detail for a knife unboxing that's got 2 more things to go. Oh my God. So this is a F3NS. I kind of get some of the Shiro names mixed up, so I don't remember exactly which one that is. F3NS. Whatever, I'll just take a look, but I did pull out the 2 Shiros that I have. I own 2 Shirogorov knives. I have the original neon light. It's kind of weird that the original version of the neon was called the light version, especially since it didn't have internal milling. And then I have the R20, which is effectively the neon zero, but this is the like limited edition version they did in year 2020, which has this new different kind of pattern. Let's pull that out. This one, make sure I'm very careful with this. I expect from the size of this box compared to the size of the boxes mine came in that this is one of the bigger ones, and I've never handled one of the bigger ones. One of the things that always kind of rubs some people the wrong way is these knives can be tremendously expensive, but they come in these kind of flimsy feeling cardboard boxes. So we have an F3NS in bronze carbon fiber. I'm thinking that's what they're saying. Maybe it's bronze and carbon fiber. I don't know. Multi-row bearing system. And yeah. Let's look at this. Oh, yeah, okay. This is much, much bigger. Yeah, that's much bigger. And that is indeed what they mean. They mean bronze and carbon fiber, because you can see that we have the bronze anodization, just like on my R20. And they're doing the opposite in terms of the backspacer. And then, oh my God. Wowee, wow. Holy crap. This is something else. So, okay. I love the way Shiros move. I love the way Shiros move. God, that feels good. And God, that is a bigger blade. Oh my God, that's the big boy. That is the big brother of this. Wow. So these are tremendously similar in basically every single way. This is the big brother version of this. In the sense that, like, look at this back. Yeah, look at where they're putting the swedge. Look at where they're putting, like, the general slope here. Look at the gradation on that. Look at the backspacer. Yeah. Wow. Where this differs, of course, is that this is a liner lock and this is much, much bigger. Look at the, look what the fanciness on this clip. Wow. That is a way more fancy clip. Look at all of, like, the precision little micro milling on that. Can you see that? Is that focus? Oh my God. This is insane. So it's funny, this is a liner lock knife, but if you look at just, like, how thick this is, and you compare it to this little neon, it's really not much thinner of a thing right there, which is why you still have like a lock bar relief. Wow, Shiros have just the most enjoyable action. That wasn't fair because I kind of pushed it a little bit over the hump, but if you just watch the way they fall, it's that delightful, just kind of like, the action on this is on the opening action is very different from mine. Both of mine have a little bit of a clickier action. Like that's snappy in that way. This one has a little bit softer action. It has more of a thwack open rather than a click. And part of what's going on there is that this has these big carbon fiber handles here, which give it that kind of, it echoes very, very differently. It has a very different sound to it. You can hear that, like, thwack. You compare that over here. Wow. Wow. So I'm assuming this is a very expensive knife because all Shiros are, but this appears to be one of the really high-end ones, because there's a bunch of different tiers, and if you just look at the amount of milling going on inside this, here, let me get something reflective. There, you can see how much milling is happening inside there. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is like extremely heavily milled out. And they do mill out the Neon Zero and above. So this one has internal milling and this one doesn't. But this is like very milled out. Wow. Wow, that is incredible. Okay, I am going to do full details review on that, that's for sure. The big brother of my Neon R20. Okay, we've got one more knife here. This is from Custom Knife Factory. I don't know what this is going to be, but I've never had any knife from Custom Knife Factory, and there's a couple that I know he has that I'm not sure what's going to be in here. Oh, okay. One of the things that CKF does that's really, really cool is they include extra hardware. And one of the things you'll see right there is that is the bearing system. And so it's a multi-row bearing system that looks like Mickey Mouse ears. I wonder if I can get a better shot of that later. What? So this is, yeah. Oh, man. Okay. So this is the Peter Rassenti Snafu 3.0. And this is... this is part of the most recent drop. This is from 2021. And yeah, wow. Okay, so this is not a me knife in terms of aesthetics. Wow, okay, this looks like it needs to be cleaned off. Let me get something to spray that real quick. I'm gonna just use a tissue and I'll use some rubbing alcohol that I keep here in this little spray bottle. And I'm doing this because you can see the kind of like fingerprinty smudges. So let's clean this off and make this pop. Yeah, oh yeah, this is something that wants to pop. Look at that. Okay, that's freaking cool. Okay, that'll dry. Oh yeah, okay, integral. I hadn't even noticed that. Right, okay. Okay. Okay, so this is not a super me knife stylistically because this is obviously a lot more tactical than I normally go for. We've got a clip point style blade, a very look at this milling pattern. This whole thing just kind of screams tactical in a way that I don't normally go for. But so this was a soft detent, but like very effective still. And that's one of the reasons. So like, let's see if I probably can fail it. Yeah, I can fail it. But look at the way it's just falling right back down. And part of what's going on there is that this is going to be that's a reasonably light lock bar pressure. And that's the #1 contributing factor to what makes something, free fall or not. Okay, so one of the things I commented to Kevin, aka Lefty EDC, is that it bugs me the placement of these. The fact that there is a indentation right here, and my brain, when I see this, I feel like the thumb stud, aka also this external stop pin, is going to land in that spot. And so when it doesn't, I get this like, oh no, it missed cognitive dissonance moment where it feels like it feels like it was supposed to go and land up into that spot. And I'm going to be honest with you, from a purely design perspective, I feel like it should. I feel like they could have designed this in a way where this came down further and this was able to hide. Because right now it's, okay, the reality is it's not in the cutting path because it's above the toil, so it's not really a thing. But it feels just kind of weird to me that this doesn't nestle back here. And I feel like they could have designed this in a way that would make it do that. Yeah, with that light detent, you can even get like a thin thwack open, but it's not hard at all to get the kind of correct positioning. And do you see the way that that's falling? Ooh, I'm pushing the wrong direction. I'm pushing straight up. Oh, and I'm also pushing lock bar pressure on. I'm gonna have to get better at that. Yeah, I'm not great at the thumb set on this, but the flipper tab is good. How does this fit in my hand? Yeah, wow, the jimping on this. Okay, this is, again, tactical jimping. And so I don't typically use knives with gloves very often. And so this kind of really deep jimping is not my favorite thing for my bare hands. It's great for gloves because it gives you grip on a time when you normally wouldn't. But with my bare hands, this is just kind of pushes into your finger in a way I wouldn't expect. Is this groove flickable? That's something I probably should have paid attention to. Oh, let me get a better grip on this. How do I want to hold that? I'm sure it's flickable if I figure out how to hold this correctly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's super easy to do. I wasn't quite sure how to grip this in a way that I'm not putting lock bar pressure on. You can see that it's got reasonably deep detent ball engagement. So I'm assuming this is, yeah, this is the kind of knife that kind of locks up when you put it on. And so that's what's going on right there. So I was trying to figure out how to hold this in a way that doesn't put any lock bar pressure on. Man, that does. Yeah, that flicks really, really well. This, as a result, is a 3 deployment method knife, and that is going to be very fidgety for some people. This kind of milling here is so freaking deep that this is, again, something that I think would work really, really well as grip with gloves, but makes it not feel quite as comfortable in my bare hand. I don't know, man. This is not a knife I'm used to holding, so I don't really know if I should even bother mentioning about stuff like that, because is someone going to use this with their bare hand? Is this always going to be something you would use with a glove? Man, this is an integral knife. So this is a single piece of titanium that has been cut in and milled out in this axis to get these grooves, on this axis, flip it over to get these grooves, on this axis to get these grooves, and then on this axis to get this freaking cutout. And that's just super complicated and fancy way of doing this. And so this is going to be a very expensive knife to produce. This is also has this, I don't know if this is, zircuti. I don't know if this is Timascus. I don't know if this is some other word. I don't know if this is black Timascus, but it is gorgeous is what it is. I don't typically go for Timascus-y style of stuff on knives, but I do think it's kind of fun when it's just a little bit of a pop. I personally find it an interesting style choice that they're doing, where they're putting a beautiful, ornate, swirly looking thing on a knife that is very like tactical, utilitarian looking, and has this kind of like bronze and black color scheme. I don't know. Obviously people like that combination. To me, it's a weird combination, but I'm not the target audience of this knife. I will say that the actual Timascus itself is very, very nice. There's different quality levels of Timascus in terms of the cleanness of the lines and then there's quality levels in the processing of it. And so this is very, very well done in terms of how crisp and clean the lines are, how much of a distinction there is. It's not like all kind of blurred together. You get really nice variants. And so yeah, this is very well done Timascus. M390 blade. I haven't actually held it in this choil spot. Oh, that's money right there. Yeah, that's the comfort zone. See, with the choil, it's also putting my thumb up past this thumb ramp spot here and onto this very nice soft flat. And this is suddenly starting to feel like a me knife, you know, where I can put my hand on something that's not serrated. Yeah, I like it choked up like that. Wow. So we do have a tanto blade here, but this isn't the traditional tanto where it is a straight edge. This is more of a Japanese style tanto where it's almost like a smooth transition, but you can see the inflection point right. Get it to focus right there, where this is indeed a second grind. It's not a dual grind on the primary bevel, but this is clearly one edge here, and that is another edge here, and there is the transition point. So people love tantos, and this Japanese style tanto, it's again an interesting combination of aesthetics, because the more aggressive American tanto that would be just a straight cutoff, I think stylistically might fit some parts of this knife better. But at the same time, the curvature that you have here kind of mirrors the curvature and swoop you have here, and so they're melding some like hard, crisp, utilitarian, tactical things with some softer, curvy, beautiful things. And so it's definitely a very interesting blend. And I did mention this earlier. These are external stop pins. And so one of the ways that they're getting away with doing this integral knife is by not having to worry about stop pins. When you have an integral knife like this, there's no way to kind of fit in a stop pin in traditionally. And so what you'll often find is that there'll be like a pivot collar that is much larger than you normally would have. And it's because it's covering up a stop pin and holding that stop pin in that has to come in from the side, because there's no way to like take these scales apart to fit one in. They're getting around that by having the stop pin be external. And so this, you can see right there, there's the little point where the stop pin hits on the handle and is wearing off this really nicely done Here, let's compare it to this one. Bronze Anno. When it hits right there, and then in theory, there's gonna be the same thing over on this side. Yep, there's our little points of contact right there and right there. And so it's hitting there and hitting there, and that is how we're stopping the knife. This is something you'll find on, again, like bigger, kind of bruisier tactical knives, because it's a very strong way of doing a lockup right there. You would have to shear this off entirely for this to come off, and it's just a very big, meaty piece of metal hitting directly into the frame in a way that can't possibly go into it. Wow. Okay, so this is funny because of these two, this is obviously a way, way more me knife, but these are both bigger and at least different from the typical thing that I normally do. So these are both knives that I guarantee I would not have ever bought on my own to check out, just from the size on this one and from the general aesthetic on this one. So it is so freaking cool that I get to actually see them in person. And I love this. This is what I love about the kind of like swappery in this community, where people will lend each other stuff that they wouldn't have ever seen otherwise. And if it wasn't for Marco being incredibly, incredibly generous and lending these things to me, there is no way I would have ever gotten this opportunity. And this is a form of Shiro action with this kind of like more thwack that I just didn't even know existed. And this, on the other hand, this is definitely a knife that if he hadn't lent it to me, one of these days I would have eventually picked it up. And now that I actually have it in hand, I probably will pick one up because I kind of love it. I love this too, but in different ways, and it's just bigger than I normally would go for. Even that, I said it's bigger than I normally would go for, but it actually feels really, really, really nice in my hand. Love that action. And this is definitely something I would have never bought on my own, but I'm so glad I get to experience that. I will do follow-ups on these. I'm not sure how much more in detail I will go on this. I think I probably will do a full small details review on this, is my guess. This I will definitely do a full small details review, and this I'm not sure. I'm going to do some kind of follow-up, but I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this. I've talked a lot about Peñas on my channel. People know I like them, and I did go into detail today on the main things that are different about this, and so maybe I've already covered that base enough. We'll find out. I'll probably at least film some kind of follow-up once I've actually cut with this to know how much that impact is. Okay, I will end it there, and again, Marco, holy crap! Holy crap! Thank you so much. Everyone go check out Knives of the Round Table. He's a fellow engineer, has an amazing collection, just a really nice guy. And his videos, he does a really, really great job of just talking through what is like unique and interesting and good about knives. And he has a pretty wide breadth in his experience of what he's gotten to. So his perspective is definitely something that's coming from a place of actually knowing what he's talking about. So anyway, yeah, thank you so much. I'll catch you guys next time.